Welcome to the Tech Trends podcast, where we discuss the latest manufacturing technology research and news. Today's episode is sponsored by MFG Conference. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Steve.
Like, share, subscribe.
Jumping the gun early there, but that's good. I want to talk about SHOT Show.
Yeah.
Why did we go to SHOT Show?
We went to SHOT Show because it is a manufacturing industry adjacent show. And I'm going to give them the long answer. I'm sorry, I don't know the short answer. The long answer is I went back in 2023 and I was blown away by a part of the show called the Supplier Showcase. And the Supplier Showcase was a very small part of the show, and to most of the SHOT Show audience would probably think it's boring, but those people are dumb and ill-informed because it was the best part of the show in that it was where all of the manufacturers, our members, and potential members were showing off their manufacturing technologies to make the parts and the stuff that went into the main show and the main floor that everybody else mostly cares about.
Right. And there are two trends that I was keeping an eye on for in terms of technology advancements. One is, I think additive has made a really big progression into the defense and firearm space.
Additive has not just made a huge progression. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's found its home in the defense industry.
The home, wow.
It's found its home in defense, and I know that bothers a lot of people. It's like, tough luck, cookie.
Well, Elissa will have an article on that too, but I agree. Because so the underlying concept that I've been experimenting with is, I think additive has a lot of opportunity for products that can use gas optimization. Mm-hmm. So like the main use cases that we've seen are suppressors, right?
Yes.
So you're capturing the gas at the end of the firearm to minimize the sound at the end, but instead of using traditional processes, you're printing the entire suppressor to get that super optimized gas flow path.
Yeah. Everything that every use case where additive has been employed to optimize fluid dynamics, mostly in jet engines and in rocket engines. As it turns out, if you make that same thing smaller and send a bullet through it, you make a great suppressor.
Also, material sciences have come a long way, just on the uniqueness of new materials. We talked to Carpenter on the main show floor for a little bit about new materials they're using for barrels and things like that. So they want stuff that's harder, tougher, which we're seeing in other cases too. But a lot of composites also. We saw composite suppressors, which is kind of interesting because it's counterintuitive because it's at the end of the barrel, which is literally the hottest part of the firearm, but you have a composite suppressor.
Yeah. It deals with, I wouldn't say it's the hottest, but it deals with the most pressure flux at the end. No, temperature flux at the end. But more importantly, so with all of these additive suppressors coming to the market, and which is making suppressors more accessible, it's inducing a lot more pressure back into the system that wasn't normally there because it's back pressure. It's the same thing that you get by putting a big muffler on a car. It sends some back pressure back towards the engine. And in the use case of semi-automatic and automatic firearms, self-loading firearms, this added pressure is great for speeding up cycle times and short-term reliability, but that pressure spike in those faster cycle times also induces a lot more wear and tear on the system. Also, and the best way to mitigate that is more advanced materials, which was brought to us by additive.
Also, another negative impact we're seeing quite a bit is because of the suppressor, traditionally manufactured suppressors, they increase back pressure. There's also a lot more debris coming back to the operator. So now you see spatter and lead pieces and unexploded gunpowder being pushed back in the chamber, which is being pushed back into the operator or a person. So
that sounds not good.
It's not pleasant. So one of the benefits that we've seen with the additive parts is they allow better flow being exited the suppressor.
And the porosity is welcome. Putting more rounds through it makes the suppressor stronger.
So can I ask kind of a logistical question?
Sure.
In terms of like suppressors. So when like you fire a gun, because I've fired like a 9mm, at the range and stuff like that, and there's like obviously there's just the general kickback, right? Having a suppressor on there, increase it or decrease it? Because if you're doing something with the pressure.
So the felt recoil is different because you do have a weight at the end. So that helps to minimize it. But also it's capturing the gas and redirecting the gas in a different direction. So it does reduce the felt recoil in some scenarios.
Felt recoil. So at the end of the day, when you look at the physics in a free body diagram, you are sending something downrange, and the force used to send that piece, that projectile downrange, must equally be acted on the person holding the weapon, and thus the person holding it. So regardless of what you do to it, if that projectile's mass and its acceleration through the system to make its muzzle velocity stays the same, no matter if it's suppressed or unsuppressed, the recoil will be the same. Now, that inertia, that inertia can be spread over a different moment by adding different components to the system, by adding weight to it. So it will feel different, but from an energy standpoint, the energy going downrange has to happen to the person putting that energy downrange in the opposite direction.
Right.
Does that make sense?
One other
Yes.
area we've hit on is additive is making great progress, materials making great progress, but there's still a really big need for automation. We saw a couple of companies that have automation capabilities, but I think automation is one of the biggest opportunities in terms of the supplier showcase that I didn't see a lot in. Saw a couple of our members there that supply components for automation, but in terms of a manufacturing sector that is ripe for, I wouldn't say mass production, but from munitions to components for firearms, I think automation has a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, especially work holding. We saw a lot of potential in work holding.
Yep.
And we even got, from our friends at Royal Products, they even told us the firearms industry, the small arms industry, was really excited about all of the solutions that the manufacturing industry brought in terms of work holding to the market. A little sticker shocked by it, but there's a lot of potential there.
Yep.
And they were really, both parties were really excited about that, which was fun to hear.
Can we do the hard transition to Pilates?
I feel like there's got to be like a decent overlap between the two, like SHOT Show and Pilates.
No. Just black and white. Because Steve, the reason I bring it up, today's your first day, right? You went to
last
first
night
session.
was my first.
Last night.
Last night was my first class.
So does your whole body hurt today then?
Yeah, full body sore.
Cool. No,
Absolutely a full body sore.
Cool.
Like,
it is
full body
akin.
sore is nice.
It's a good sore.
Yeah.
Because it's the soreness that I associate it and can relate it to the most is my first time snowboarding.
Oh.
Because your first time snowboarding, you get sore because you are working out muscles to maintain balance that you never knew you had and have been dormant your entire life until your first time snowboarding. It's different and not as bad because A, you don't have an astronomical lift ticket to pay for and a bunch of gear to pay for, but also B, there's no impact. I mean, unless you fall at solid core, definitely a thing that could happen. I didn't see it. Thankfully, it didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
But there were a few times there's like, whoa, I'm getting a workout just making sure I'm not falling.
Yeah.
I think that is the benefit of Pilates. It is almost no impact, right?
Yeah, except for the
unless
next day.
Unless you fall.
Yeah, but so have you guys seen the SNL sketch of like the Pilates? it's like a parody on like Megan, I think, and it's like the Pilates instructors, and it's like. I've never felt more seen than when it's like, and you won't be able to hear a single thing they're saying, because like when I did one
They
solid
speak in
core
tongues.
class, because my sister does solid core almost every day. She's been doing it for years. She loves it. She swears by it. She loves it so much. And so I did one class with her, and mind you, it was not like a beginner class. It was an intermediate class because she had been going for a while, and so. Yeah, the woman's just like, okay, do this, like with the machines, and I'm like, I think I did it right, and then my sister would reach over and change it, and I'm like, okay, I guess not. So, but like, I couldn't hear a single thing she was saying.
Yeah.
Like over the music and the machines, you can't hear anything.
The playlist, fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The lady, our instructor, was so great.
Okay.
Because like going in, I was very transparent with like I was just managing expectations. I was like, listen, I'm the least athletic person you've ever met in your life.
Ever?
You know, I am going
Ever
to
is
need
wild.
I will fight that. I will fight that. And I'm gonna need like help. And she was just great. She was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me. Yeah, I've got you. I'm gonna ensure that you have the best time possible. And I obviously want you to come back. So I'm not gonna make this miserable for you, but." You're gonna feel it, and she was right about everything, and she was amazing. I think her name was Mimi. She adjusted all of the things. She was talking, didn't understand a word. Like Chloe described it as they're speaking in tongues. They are, and like basically there's a bunch of other people there, and they've all been there for like so many classes before.
So they're just all deftly moving the machines around and doing everything perfectly.
Like the lady's handling this. Mimi was handling my machine for me, making all the adjustments. Awesome experience. But she was also like, just look around you because like everybody else has done this before and they know what I'm saying. So just. Like the whole idea of the mirrors is so you can see, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you look at the other people to see what the example is. And it was really cool like that. It was a fun time.
My leg's cramping just thinking about it.
Oh man, the cramps. Dude,
Yeah.
I definitely got a Charlie horse in the arch of my foot. And I was like, how does that even happen?
I just knew it. The like flexing.
It would have been so much worse if all of you people didn't tell me all day yesterday to stay hydrated. I was drinking water all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Good.
And I still managed to hard Charlie horse.
See, as soon as it started, I would have been like, no.
I mean, but if you're not using it all the time, then it's gonna hurt when you use it.
I will say I did pretty great on the upper body part.
Good job.
Very nice.
I was like, guys, this is what you do. This is what you do. You guys can focus on the butts. I got the glam muscles.
Before we get into today's sponsor, Elissa, I think our podcast hit a milestone.
Yeah, so I got our office email has like a quarantine page where it sends things that it thinks are spam or phishing emails or whatever. And I don't look at all of them, but I was glancing through it on a few days ago, and I saw one that said like, "Congratulations, your podcast on being like one of the top 100 manufacturing podcasts." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And at first I was like, "This is definitely a scam," but I still wanted to see what the email was, so I let it through. Sean, don't kill me. And because it seemed relatively legit from what I could see, and I was like, okay, if I open it, it probably won't do anything. I just can't click on anything unless whatever. Anyway, Sean, don't kill me. And
Later, we're going to talk about cybersecurity risks.
And so I opened the email, and it was like, "Hey, my name is." It was the guy who runs this website, FeedSpot, and he was like, "You've been selected as one of the top 100 manufacturing podcasts." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I clicked the link. Sean, please don't kill me. And yeah, we were number 14 on the list of top 100 manufacturing podcasts.
Just know number 1 through 13, be ready to squabble up. We're coming.
Like, share, subscribe, and comment.
He's rolling up his sleeves because he's
Want the
Like ready.
That's exciting. I'm very excited for that. We've made some big progress. That's
Yeah, and I was like, but I still wonder why they sent me the email. Because like,
cool. Yeah.
I think they probably sent it to all of us.
I was just about to say.
and
Nobody else checks it
yeah,
out.
I was gonna say that's probably what it was.
I don't even think I have a quarantine.
Because I've seen important emails come through quarantine before, and so that's why I tend to check it, because sometimes it just gets stuck in the filter.
Yeah.
So I check it every once in a while just to be like, oh, let me make sure there's nothing important that's come through.
Ready for the worst unsolicited advice on this podcast ever? Every now and then it's worth clicking on a sketchy email.
Sean, please don't kill me.
Ramia, can you tell us about today's sponsor?
I know.
The MFG meeting brings together manufacturing technology industry leaders to address key business challenges and provide actionable solutions. Sessions cover a wide range of topics, including workforce, economics, supply chain, leadership, politics, and more. The unique meeting experience provides unparalleled opportunities to network with executives from companies that make, sell, service, and support manufacturing technology. These peers and competitors will learn from each other, build long-lasting connections, and share insights that will benefit their business. Go to amtonline.org/events to register.
Thanks, Ramia. We can also talk about cybersecurity and clicking random links while we're in it.
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't random. It looked legit. When I opened the email, it looked legit, and so
I'm going to send you Smarter Shop Season 2, Episode 3. Ryan Kelly's got some things to
man,
say to
IT's
you.
gonna like pull me aside tomorrow, and they're gonna be like, "Can we have a chat?"
They're just going to start sending you, like, phishing emails.
Well, because Sean lives with you, Steven, so he's gonna find out.
Just tell them to comment, subscribe. Like,
Comment your problems with
So,
clicking on fishy links.
The solution is going to be just quarantine Elissa, not her emails.
Yeah.
Steve, tell me about generative AI versus agentic AI.
yeah, let me look this up.
Let me Google this real quick.
Forbes published an article, Generative AI versus Agentic AI. The key differences everyone needs to know. And it's super long-winded, but basically it boils down to generative AI creates content based off of a data set that it has access to. Whereas agentic AI, in contrast, can act upon autonomously to achieve goals and make decisions within the parameters that it's programmed with.
I want to be real snooty about this because there is
Sure.
a conversation online about creating versus generates.
Yeah.
They're using the word generates content as opposed to creates just because of the nature of it. So I
Are
would
you
just
nitpicking?
I am nitpicking you.
Heck yeah.
So, but I agree with you. I think the underlying thing, and I think you got some really good examples about, is kind of the decision making. Like the generative AI, you put in information and says, "This is what I would recommend. This is
Yeah.
send me an email or provide an email to such and such on this topic," and kind of tailor the conversation. Agentic acts on your behalf, and I think that's an interesting kind of next
Yes.
step.
Yes.
We're saying.
No, absolutely. And I had OpenAI distill this to 200 proof, and it basically boils down to while generative AI produces, agentic AI executes.
Yep.
One makes, one does.
So I think the example that we talked about was like self-driving cars. The car is an agent of you because it's making all decisions getting down the road.
Agent.
Agent. Agentic? Is that?
This is generative. Wow, it was in the name.
There's no ambiguity about names here, are there? No, but that is an interesting thing that I read across a video where they're talking about new tools where the agent is getting information or the AI tool is getting information. So the latest iPhone is getting information from your screen, right? So
Yeah.
if you just want to circle something or say, iPhone, what is this thing on this page? It knows what's on the page because it knows what's on the screen. I did see a program or an application online where the AI tool is looking at your computer screen, your desktop, and will actually launch programs, do stuff on the computer itself on your behalf. So it's a truly agent acting on your behalf, running programs, typing stuff, not typing, but filling in emails and stuff like that, which is kind of weird and interesting. Like, what's the point of this? Why do you even need a screen at that point? But the ability for AI to execute stuff for you, that's a dicey scenario in the future.
Oh, I'm glad you got to it before I did, because I was going to say, you know what this is? This is my tinfoil hat. Because agentic AI is about to act on the terms and conditions that you agreed to and did not read.
Yeah. Yep. That's the other thing I think we need some reformation on.
We need lawyers. Everybody needs a lawyer.
I need to see the EUL agreement before I go to the website or before I buy something.
Is that what the cookies thing is?
And no.
That's
No,
their defense.
cookies is
That's
different.
their defense.
And I need the EULA in 3 bullets. Have you scrolled through a EULA before?
Yeah,
It is a nightmare.
it's insane. And like the big ones are like the worst ones, obviously. So like they're like 500 pages. They know no one's gonna read that. So you're
What's
just
a
like,
EULA?
End user license agreement.
Oh, okay. Cool. It was an acronym.
I am positive that all of those, like terms and conditions, TOCs and EULAs,
Table of contents.
are all.
Thank you.
I was gonna say Tears of
Terms
the
and
Kingdom, but
conditions.
that's okay.
Why do they call that in Twitch then? I don't know. The Twitch streamers, they have no brains to begin with.
That's our next area opportunity, streaming on Twitch.
I just
I'm gonna post this on Twitch and see how many comments we get.
tell them to squabble up.
Yes.
But I was just thinking, like, how many of those, like, when you go to a website and the thing pops up in the lower third, like, accept all cookies, decline all cookies, whatever. Sometimes it doesn't even give you the option to, like, decline. Sometimes it says accept all and then customize, and nobody's clicking on customize.
No.
But I can't help but think in that box, there's a fine print somewhere that links to all of the things that you're agreeing to, and when you click accept all cookies, there's probably a fine line somewhere saying you're also agreeing to our EULA.
That's how they seal your title for your house.
That would not surprise me. That scares me, dude.
I own 0 assets, so I'm not that concerned.
I think that's what's going to defend us.
So
The fact that none of us can buy
3D
anything.
printing, Elissa, I think you found a good one that brings back to printing 3D homes
Yes.
or houses or barracks.
So I'm an Army brat myself.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was born and raised on military bases, but technically I was born off base because there was not a there was only a clinic on base at Fort Meade. There was not a hospital.
Yeah.
So but I was raised in the military. I lived in military housing the first chunk of my life. So at Fort Bliss in Texas, the Army revealed a new 3D printed barracks, and it holds 72 soldiers, and it's made with mold resistant materials, and it's engineered to withstand various environmental challenges, including severe weather and seismic activity. It's a collaboration between the DoD and Icon, an Austin-based construction technology firm, and they used a 3D printer to make the buildings out of lavacrete, which just sounds cool.
That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it is.
And they look really nice. And as someone again who grew up in military housing my entire life, so so this is like something that I've been told by people in the Army. I'm not gonna say my dad because then he'll get mad, but like, so my dad always told me I should join the Air Force,
Sure.
and part of the reason is because when the Air Force creates bases, they build their housing first and they build like their facilities second, and so the housing tends to be really nice, right?
Okay.
In the Army, it's the opposite. They tend to build their facilities first, and then whatever's left over, they'll use to build housing.
Gotcha.
So the housing I was born in, a lot of it was not remodeled at all after like the 1940s. Around World War II is when
Yeah.
a lot of them were built, and they kind of stayed that way.
I was going to say Fort Meade is a base that they used to train World War II soldiers on a long time ago. So.
I lived in a small little brick building at Fort Meade. I just have pictures of it. So,
This is incredible. It explains so much now. Because one of the guys that I game with every night, Josh,
Hey,
is ex Air Force JSOC.
Sure.
And he's lived in Portugal and Majorca, and he has sent me Snapchats and pictures of his house that he lived in both of those places, and it was it was divine. I was like, "What rank are you?" And he's like, "I'm a sergeant," or whatever they have, and I was like, "Wow." What do
So-
they put up the officers in?
I will say on Army bases now they have torn down a lot of the homes that were being used when I was a kid, and they now have built like actual houses instead of just like concrete duplexes, which is what a lot of them were, or brick duplexes. But that kind of stuff would have been nice when we were living in it. But
There's
another thing.
a side tangent. So I used to go to Fort Meade. They had a collaborative shooting club where they had half defense and half civilians, and they let us on the range. And then I'm talking to some of the range officers and realized the 1600 range that we're shooting on was the same one that they trained World War II soldiers before they headed out to overseas to fight. Is they trained the soldiers there to shoot for World War II. So it's very fascinating history of Fort Meade, and that contributes, because we're talking about all the lead that we're shooting. I was like, no, this has been lead in there for like 100 some years. It's fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I think find it really interesting is where the defense is headed in terms of like rapid deployment. So not only are we seeing manufacturing being able to put in a crate and put that crate somewhere so you can get like a full manufacturing facility, but obviously rapid deployment of, if I could print a barracks, it's hopefully it can be permanent or semi-permanent, right? Where it fits the need, you do something else and move on, and then do something else with that.
Especially if it's fortified, it's going to be permanent enough.
I mean, and they're going to be nice, and that's part of it too. Is that like there is kind of this, and because I think that in some ways their recruitment isn't as high as it used to be in the military branches, and so they want something to entice them, and part of that is housing.
Yeah.
If you live off base, you are given a housing allowance if you have a family. And sometimes that can cover your costs, sometimes it can't.
Sure.
But in terms of this, so Fort Bliss, they have it. It's up and working. They have, I assume by now they have soldiers living in it. And now the Army is exploring ways that 3D printing technology can be used abroad in combat situations. Personally, I think they should just be using it to rebuild houses abroad because one of the houses I lived in Japan has been condemned and torn down in the 22 years since I lived there. Wow. It was built right in the 1950s, shortly after World War II. And
I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on, like, what are the next steps for Army on, not just Army, but defense and, like, the Army Corps of Engineers, how they can use this in the future?
Like I said, the housing is great. And as, like, someone who grew up in the housing, having, like, nice... The house I lived in that was condemned, it was nice, but it was also cockroach infested and old and squeaky and all that stuff. And most houses overseas don't have ovens that are big enough to fit like an average sized turkey, which is why in Japan you get KFC on Christmas Eve because you can't fit a ham or a turkey in the oven.
That's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like actual like defense and combat situations, I personally am not well versed enough in that. I think to be able to speak to it.
I think this does set us up for being able to like build structure. So instead of taking like a barricade, like being able to print a barricade or something along those lines. But also, I mean, we see a lot of effort on the Army Corps of Engineers within the U.S. Like if there's a disaster, being able to print homes for like a year to get us past that disaster. I think there's a lot of opportunity where being able to print something on site to solve a short-term solution or a long-term solution, like the state of our bridges has been a big concern, right? Is there scenarios where we could support our infrastructure is not to be fair, our infrastructure is aging. So how do we leverage this for our infrastructure?
Yeah.
So I've got an article from Caliber on humanoid robots. I'm still okay. So this is an interview, and they pulled some information from a company called Figure. And the CEO is talking about in the next 4 years, they want to ship 100,000 humanoid robots.
Next
25,000 a year.
That's a lot.
That's too many.
4 years?
Extreme
One
numbers.
company. So there's two sides to this. One, I
I wonder if they're in cahoots with Elon Musk, who said there was going to be more humanoid robots than people by 2030.
2030?
Yeah, I think is what he said.
Or that goal down right here, 2030. There's two sides of this that I'm torn on. One, I really like the time to market for these guys. I mean, Figures like push super aggressive about getting a technology to market.
Yeah.
Which if you take some of their, I'll say, software background where you're allowed to go to market with a defective product and kind of fix it as you go into production. I think they're taking that approach to this where they want the humanoid robots to be safe, of course, but learning on the fly. So it's going to make mistakes or be tailored to that application. At the same time, like, why do we need so many humanoid robots? I still don't understand.
The picture that they put on this article is extremely scary. Like, I just want to like show you all how terrifying this looks. Why would they do this?
To scare you?
Yeah.
We should Photoshop our faces into that for the thumbnail.
That's going to be our thumbnail.
But also, like when we talk to actual industry experts who work for actual robot companies that make money and sell robots, you know, a lot of them sort of don't speak as highly of cobots as they do industrial robots.
Sure.
You know, like, sure, a cobot is safer or in some aspects. I mean, like a cobot can be more dangerous if you put a knife or a gun in its gripper. But like it depends on who's using it and how they're programming it. Really determines safety. Like, you can have an industrial robot safer than a cobot stock, but a lot of the pushback on cobots has been, well, they're just not as capable because they're meant to be more user-friendly, lightweight,
Right.
and safer by default.
There's a
But,
trade-off you have to make.
If you actually knew enough and had more capital to begin with, you could make an industrial robot just as safe and infinitely more capable than a cobot. And I just feel like, so if a lot of them for lack of a better term, a cobot in terms of capability is a downgrade, then how much of a downgrade is a humanoid to like a cobot?
That's what I'm wondering, if like they just need so many humanoid robots because they're so basically you need like 2 humanoid robots to fill a task that one
Yeah.
person could do.
And who's going to buy them?
So that's what
Who's buying humanoid? Comment down below who's buying humanoid robots.
in the
And while you're
article,
commenting, like and share.
in the article they talk
Subscribe.
about their 2 main focus areas is commercial and home.
I don't want a humanoid robot in my home.
And that's what I want to ask you guys.
I don't want that. Sorry.
Okay, but all right. While I am on the same page,
You want to do the dishes?
like
Wait.
if somebody I spend $180 a month for cleaners to come in. How does that compare to a humanoid?
Would you rent a humanoid robot to do that?
Would you
I mean,
just have one to do
I don't want to rent. I want to buy.
No, rent to own.
I'm already
You put it
renting
on, like,
people's
Klarna.
time to come. No, I want to avoid that financial plan. I don't know.
So the counterpoint is, like when I do the laundry, I have to put the clothes in the washer, and then manually transfer it to the dryer. It's like, why can't I just automate
my
that
God.
single scenario? Right?
Yes.
I would love to automate specific tasks, but not have a piece of automation just roaming around the house.
I would just
Yeah.
rather have
Why are they two
ones that
different machines?
stack on top of each other, and then you just like
drop
pull
it.
a little lever, and then it drops the stuff in the washer into the dryer. And
Consumerism.
then done.
I want the robot to actually pick up the washer and turn it sideways and drop it into the dryer.
Well,
Consumerism is how they are less quality than ever. They have more features, but they have a planned obsolescence. They know that more features are going to come out in the future, so they want to make them less repairable. And instead of replacing an individual component, you have to replace an entire assembly, and that assembly almost costs as much as the entire machine.
I like the ones that sing.
I was just about to say that. Oh my God.
You know it's a German folk song?
No.
That does not surprise me.
Samsung is the little bop that it plays when your stuff is done is a German folk song.
I need
That's cool.
somebody.
I found the Instagram reel.
to,
I'll
like,
send it.
I
So-
need somebody to update mine so it can play something cool. Like I don't know what I wanted to play, like Megan Thee Stallion or something.
So what would you guys automate in your house? So get rid of humanoid robots or the fact of the physical asset. Like, what is the thing that you...
If anybody says cooking, we're gonna squabble up.
No.
No, my big thing
Because Uber eats
is so I don't mind doing dishes. Like loading the dishwasher is totally fine. I hate unloading the dishwasher. This is my least favorite thing
You need a child for that.
to do.
You need
Yes, but until
Amelia's
then, if I
Amelia's
could
job.
automate that somehow, it would be great. But also, I will say, in here it says that the article also says that it's for they want to have everyday household tasks to more specialized roles in healthcare. I would not trust a humanoid robot to like distribute my medicine
Yeah.
because it takes the smallest little thing for them to put too many pills in there, and then I'm like, cool, I'm dead.
Yes.
We're addicted.
So yeah, but I would definitely
Nothing's
have.
wrong with that.
But I would definitely have my unloading of my dishwasher automated. That'd be my choice.
I'm gonna go with Ben and say laundry, but I want the full laundry cycle.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
put it in the wash, but I need it from the wash to the dryer, and then I want it to fold it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
like
hold
stack
it.
it on my
Put it
bed,
away.
and then I'll just put it away. I would
And-
probably still not put it away,
And
but
with a 10-year lifespan. I don't want to replace it after 5 years.
You know, the trick to avoid folding is just hang your clothes.
I still don't want to do that. Like
I
Beyonce
don't fold
said, I'll
anything.
cook and I clean, but I still won't fold. So
That's
I don't
fair.
cook. I don't clean. Let me tell you,
Guys?
that's a different person.
yeah, but I like it. I like what we're doing here.
It was a good episode. I appreciate you guys for all the content.
Yep.
You want to tell us where they can find more info about us?
amtonline.org/resources, but I think it changed recently. Because we talked about this last
Yeah,
time.
I already
didn't
forgot
we?
it.
We'll
Yep.
click on the link.
Yeah, just click the link. We'll make it right.
Bye.